Hello, my name is Greg Massey, and this is episode number 59 of The Color of Air, a podcast about the musical journey. And it's a little bit of a shorter one this week, but kind of also one that I've always wanted to do since I started the podcast. This is a retro interview. This is a interview that was taped off of the Providence College radio station back in October of 1997, I believe. I had just started doing a heavy metal radio show, which I called the Metal Meltdown. It was my first year doing any kind of metal on the radio thing, and it was something I always wanted to do. I think it kind of helped me get out of my shell a little bit to kind of get over my fear of public speaking and things like that. Just, be in a room talking on a microphone and hoping people listen. I've joked around about how, the Providence College radio station probably had I remember we had a broken antenna. So I think like our broadcasting power was not very, very far. So I wasn't lighting up the airwaves with tons of listeners, but it was a fun experience for me from 97 to 2000 when I graduated. And, I went from being just a regular DJ to being the metal director, which gave me the opportunity to talk to bands and get CDs and get concert tickets and all the other fun promotional stuff people do to get their music played on the radio. And but this is before all that. This is right at the beginning when I was in a lowly cave at the bottom of St. Joe's Hall on the Providence College campus. And it's my interview with Mike Gonsalves, otherwise known as Dr. Metal, or The Doctor. He was a late night DJ on 94 HJY. And when I first got to college in 96, fall of 96, I remember very distinctly, again, I think it was in October, I put on 94 HJY because I heard some heavy metal going on, because he had a show called The Metal Zone every Saturday night from 12 to 2. And what got me was that he was playing music I loved. And this particular day that I was listening, I can't remember if it was the first time I ever listened to it, but it's such a powerful memory. It was when daylight savings happened. And so, you turn the clock back. And so, we turn the clocks back at 2 or 1. I don't know. We turn the clocks back at some point. So theoretically, the show, which was from 12 to 2, then became a 3-hour show because the clock got turned back and he kept going until actual 2 a.m. And what he did when we turned the clocks back is he put on Deja Vu by Iron Maiden. And I remember thinking to myself, fuck, this guy gets it, musically. And so, yeah, it was a constant listen for me, like always listening to the Metal Zone. And so when I started doing the radio show, I was feeling bold and reached out to him to get an interview. And he was gracious enough to come by the studios on a Saturday night, before he had to get to work, and sit down with me for, I think it's like a 12-minute interview. It's very short, but it meant the world to me. And besides that, just over the years, when I was doing the metal director thing, he was really, really helpful in helping me get contacts, my first couple contacts to get CDs sent to the station. He gave me suggestions of people to contact at Metal Blade Records, and kind of got me started on that whole process. So he was a great dude. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2003 during the Station Fire in West Warwick, Rhode Island, when the Great White Incident. Unfortunately, he was at the show that night, and he passed away, and that sucked because I graduated college in 2000. I originally was in Boston for a couple of years, but in 2002, fall of 2002, I had moved back to Providence, and I was in Providence for a couple of years from 2002 to 2004, and yeah, I resumed listening to his program. Called him up a couple times, and then to lose him, in 2003 was a real bummer for me. I just want to also add that while I am kind of focusing on Dr. Metal, the point is that there were a lot of people who unfortunately passed away in that station fire, so I don't want to forget that either, because I knew some friends of mine who had friends who were there, and it really was just a horrible night for Rhode Island as a whole. So in addition to Dr. Metal, this is also, a tribute to them as well. And, I made a few pilgrimages to the station memorial there. It was just, I remember hearing about that, sort of. I remember hearing about it, like, hearing people talk about it on the commuter rail when I was going into work that day. It was on, I think it happened on February 20th, 2003. So 21st, I was going into work and hearing weird rumblings about it, and then hearing about it when I got to work, and it was a bummer, big bummer, and So not to dwell on the negative, but yeah. So Dr. Metal, Mike Gonsalves, was a big part of my life in those years, in helping me, kind of find my way at school. Being off on my own. Providence College wasn't really known as being a very metal school, as he even kind of alludes to when he's talking, and yeah, so it was a beautiful thing that he came by. And keep in mind, this is pre-cell phone, so I don't even know how he managed to find his way to the right building to get there at the right time. Because I remember I had to I couldn't just hang in the studio and wait for him to call me to tell me he was outside. I just had to kind of jump in between songs and put on a long song, so that I would have a few extra minutes to hang out outside, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it was a fun, interesting time in my life, and he was a big part of it. So anyway, I figured this would be a good chance to be a tribute to Dr. Metal, Mike Gonsalves. Thank you, Doc, for everything. Rest in power. And I hope you guys enjoy this interview. Probably going to have to... I just realized my cassette deck is crappy, so you're going to hear some noise here and there. But, whatever. It's an old tape. I think it's actually sped up a little bit, so I might have to do some voice altering to it to make me not sound like a child. And for some reason, I was listening back to it, and I guess this is maybe the way it worked when I was in college, but even though I'm from Connecticut, I somehow had adopted a Rhode Island accent, and so you can kind of hear that in the way I'm talking, which is really, really funny to me because I don't normally have that accent when I'm talking. Anyway, so enjoy this tribute to Dr. Metal, and yeah, awesome. Enjoy.
91.3 WDOM, this is the Metal Meltdown. I'm Greg. How's it all going out there? And yes, with me right now is my special guest, the icon of heavy metal radio, the doctor from 94 HJY.
In the flesh, man. Hey, this reminds me of my college days, definitely, when I did college radio.
So
Just-
welcome to the Metal Meltdown.
Thanks a lot, man. Feels good. Feels
Cool.
good to be amongst all this metal. Definitely.
All right.
Around the Providence College campus. Now, that seems to be heavy metal in Providence College.
You wouldn't think.
You would think that would not mix, but hey, there's a
I was
lot of
surprised
things.
We have all the Deicide albums. I was pretty shocked by that.
Well, let's face it. Listening to a Deicide album is not exactly, molesting kids.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, since you don't have too much time, let's get right to the questions I prepared last night when I should have been doing homework. Okay. All right.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. My first question is, how did you get started doing the Metal Zone? And for those of you out there who don't know, he hosts a Saturday night show from 12 to 2 on 94 HJY called The Metal Zone, which completely rocks because I listen to it every week. I'm a faithful listener.
Thanks, man. I sort of fell into the job. A guy named Doug Fry did it, and he got canned, which happens a lot in radio. I haven't had the unfortunate pleasure of being canned yet in radio, but you can get canned, and the guy did get canned, and I happened to be at the right place at the right time. They didn't have anybody with a heavy metal background doing the show, so I went up to the program director and said, hey, I did this in college, up at Rhode Island College, and they said, all right, we'll try out for a few weeks. If you improve, if you're all right, if you know what you're doing, it's yours, and that was in January 1987. So
Wow.
it's
Been a few
almost
years.
giving away my age, man.
Anyway, well, yeah.
So I fell into it. Just time, anything in life, timing is very relevant to everything that happens in life.
Cool. And like you said, you've been around for 10 years. I remember the 10-year special back last January.
Thanks.
And that's longer than that's exactly the same year as the Headbangers Ball debuted on MTV, and it's gone now. So how do you attribute the Metal Zone sticking around?
Just having a passion for it, just like anything. If you have a passion for something, then you can, you don't get sick of it, and if you keep it fresh, and you can probably sustain anything.
Cool. And what have been some of the cool highlights from 10 years? Because, like you
Just
said, I was talking
Getting
to
a
him
lot of
before.
free CDs, man. A lot of free music, a lot of free concerts, doing a lot of partying. A lot of partying with a lot of rock stars and a lot of cool people.
That's cool. Yeah, because I was talking to
A
him.
lot of let's just say, I would have to say at this point, just about all of my rock and roll fantasies have come true.
And this question isn't written down, but this came to me because I was playing with a pep band at a basketball game tonight, and the sousaphone player wanted me to ask you, well, how does it feel being named or being mentioned in the booklet to Images and Words by Dream Theater?
Well,
How did that come about?
those guys are friends of mine. I interviewed them when they had their first album, when they were back on Mechanics Records, when they had another guy named Charlie singing in the band, and their album was When Day and Dream Unite.
Yes. Good
And
album.
it's out of print, and I just went to New York to interview them, and they were like, "Wow, you came all the way from Rhode Island to interview us? Who, who are we?" But I had the album, and I thought it was cool, and they invited me down, and the record company, Mechanics at the time, invited me down, and I just went down there and hung out with Dream Theater before anybody knew who they were,
That's cool.
and I thought they were cool then, and we've stayed in touch.
Just a little side note. You can find When Dream and Day Unite if you search for it, because I found it in the import shops.
But it is out of print.
Yes. And you'll probably pay a pretty hefty price for it.
but
I
it's
managed
out
to
there.
get it cheap.
They don't
but
like it anymore, though. They don't like it.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, but they don't like it. They've
Images
moved
and
on.
Words is a lot better in
Yep,
my opinion,
there you
but
go.
that's all right. And what about the climate of heavy metal? I mean, you've basically seen the whole gamut of things, like from
Hey, it's still loud. It's still loud. It's still there. It's a little more underground now. It's not so much in the forefront at the moment, but things go in cycles, and I think it's coming back around. And just by the attendance at a lot of the shows that have been happening around Providence, definitely there's a buzz for heavy music. There always will be loud, heavy music, and some of it has been very successful in the mainstream still. Metallica is still selling millions of records, and so is Megadeth and a lot of hard bands, and it's changed a little bit. I mean, heavy metal is just not Iron Maiden and Ozzy anymore. It's you could perceive that someone like Tool is heavy. It's just, the term heavy metal is almost outdated. I don't think it is, but let's just say there's still lots of hard, heavy music out there, and it's not necessarily metal. It's some people perceive Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson to be metal. I do.
Right.
And if it's loud, if it's got guitars, if it's crazy, rebellious, then it's metal. But it's progressed.
Of course.
It's still metal.
Because I know, like, in '87, I mean, that was still before we had Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Then here you were, you interviewed Bruce Dickinson a couple months ago.
Yeah, I got to play more of that interview. All I played was one small segment of that, but I have a long interview with Bruce Dickinson.
I remember that day cruising around Providence and waiting and hearing him in the studio earlier on in the day. And
all right, man.
I went to that show, and
yeah.
I met him before that.
Yeah, he was very cool.
I was so psyched.
Hey, it's all about, people expressing themselves. Like any genre of music, it's an attitude, and people are expressing themselves in best way they know how, and that's what I've always done.
Cool. And what made you get started in, like, professional radio as opposed to college radio?
Well, like I said, I fell into it. I had connections while I was doing college radio. I got my connections, people. Nothing wrong with making connections. Get to know people, professionals. I happen to be at the right place at the right time. When I went to college, the new radio station WHJY was just happening. They went on and became professional broadcasters at this new rock station. They needed a staff, and I was interested in the rock and roll and the heavy stuff, and I was able to get in as an intern over there. And I was an intern for a couple of years. I paid my dues. I was a part-timer, and I just fell into it. Now, how I got into college radio was I just lived in the dorms at Rhode Island College, and I just wanted to hang out with the guys that I was living with in the dorms who happened to be members of this on-campus radio station. And I just wanted to be cool, and so I just kind of followed the crowd at the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a chance to play heavy metal because you don't find it too much on this campus, unfortunately. I'm one of the few people who walks around with
Are you a student?
Yes, I am a student.
Are there a few metalheads out there?
There are some, and I am friends with
How about
them.
some heavy metal babes?
No, unfortunately. There's a severe lack.
Yeah, but maybe they like Nine Inch Nails. Maybe they like Marilyn Manson. A lot of the young ladies.
They're mostly into Dave Matthews Band.
Well, Dave Matthews is... We're not here to talk about Dave Matthews tonight.
I know.
I mean, I like Dave Matthews, but not tonight, I don't. No. You know what, man? I need some metal. I gotta go to work. I gotta go, man.
All right.
Anything else?
I guess just... I guess I just have to ask this because I'm still trying to, like, meet all my favorite metal stars. Over your 10 years of meeting people here and there, who are probably the coolest people? Just, like, you don't have to name them all, just a cool handful.
Well, of course, the Dream Theater guys. Ozzy was one of the nicest men I've ever met. The guys from Kiss, the guys from Maiden, the guys from Priest, guys from Biohazard, the guys from... the bands are endless. Lemmy from Motorhead and guys from Suicidal Tendencies and King Diamond. Well, he wasn't too cool. Megadeth, although Dave can be, a little bit moody. Dave Mustaine. Testament are great guys. There's just so many.
And I also read on your little bio on the website, you said the biggest jerk was Glenn Danzig. I have to know the story behind that.
Wow, did I say that? Yeah, and it also says that I want to meet Princess Diana, but I really don't want to meet her anymore because I can't. But I filled that thing out in the summertime. I updated it, so I got to delete that.
Oh, okay, all right. I was just wondering.
I don't want to meet her anymore, maybe in the next life. But the Glenn Danzig thing, he just thought he was just too cool, man. He was just too cool. For me, I don't know. It's just like he had, he was trying to portray this image that was just very stuck up and snobby, and I just thought he was not a very nice human. Maybe he was having a bad day, but the couple of times that I've met him, I don't think I'd ever care if I ever met him again.
All right.
And he's not a very good interview either. He doesn't have much to say.
He's a real short dude, too. I saw him.
Well, that's another... Napoleon was only
I'm
5 feet. Hitler was 5'3".
Bruce
5'1".
Dickinson's really short too.
He's only about 5'6". I'm only 5'5", 5'6" on a good day.
I know. I took a picture with him and I like tower over him.
Yeah. So
When I met
hey,
the dudes in Metallica.
just because you are short, Greg,
I'm not saying short
does
people
not mean you are small.
I know. I realized it because I felt small next to Bruce Dickinson.
Well, maybe in a way you were, but probably not. I can't see you being small to like anybody unless it's like someone on the New England Patriots defensive line or someone on the basketball team like Jamal Thomas.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Very fine basketball game tonight, by the way.
Hey, go Friars, man.
I was trying to throw in victim of change.
So that's why I just didn't think Glenn Danzig was very receptive to his fans and to his people that promote him.
Oh, well. It happens.
So be it. You want to be like that? So be it. He's not that successful.
No, not really.
All right, then.
Yeah. He opened up for Metallica.
Hey,
there you go.
there you go. He opened up.
That's about it.
That's right.
That was a cool concert.
So
I saw
there you
too.
go. So, hey, peace.
All right. Well, since I know you got to run, I just want to thank you for coming by the Metal Zone. I'm trying.
Thank you.
I mean, Metal Meltdown. Sorry, wrong show.
Thank you, 91.3 WDOM Providence.
Cool.
We got some Metal Man coming up.
Yes, we have some Hammerfall coming up.
Oh, yeah. Let's get the Hammerfall
With a
going.
song called "Glory to the Brave."
Good. Get it on.
And I
then.
have yet to hear this, but of course I like experimenting. So,
Go for it.
so you can check out Dr. Metal.
Is this new? Yeah, I don't have this.
Yeah, we have a lot of underground stuff.
I get a lot of underground
Well, I
stuff.
know you. I know. I hear it. That's
But
cool.
Child of the Damned. All right. Which
There
one are we
is-
listening to?
Glory of the Brave.
All right, hit it.
All right, hold on. So remember, you can check out the Metal Zone 12 to 2 on Saturdays on 94 HJY. I don't know if it's really wrong to promote another radio
And
station.
you can check out Greg at 91.3 WDOM Providence College Radio.
All right, so yes, here's Hammerfall with "Glory to the Brave," and thanks again to Dr. Metal.